Hey everybody, Jake here. Hope everyone's doing well today, and I hope everyone's having a great Monday today. Unfortunately, if you're a Browns fan, it's not a victory Monday, but there's still a lot of things to be proud of and a lot of things to be optimistic about. That's a large reason why I wanted to make a video today. I haven't made a video in several months now, but the coverage of the Browns-Bengals game that we had yesterday, I feel like I almost need to give my opinion on this because I have a very different opinion than a lot of people in the media and a lot of the national media and Cleveland media have on this game. So let's go ahead and dive into this one. Let's start with the things that obviously went wrong for the Browns in this game. Andre Schmidt missed 2 field goals. He missed an extra point and he missed a bunny 36, 37-yard field goal that would have put the Browns ahead at the late stages of the game, and they kind of handed that one to the Bengals. The Bengals, I didn't think, really did much to win that game, but the Browns certainly, their kicker anyhow, did enough to lose it for them. So that was one of that was the main issue. That was the reason really the Browns lost this game. I can't pin it on the offense. I can't pin it on Joe Flacco. I can't pin it on the defense. It really just came down to the kicking situation. And I think that's something to be really proud of for the Browns. But I don't know if everyone forgets what the expectation was coming into this year, but people are saying this could be the worst team in the NFL. They have a 40-year-old quarterback. They were recovering from the Deshaun Watson situation. This team was supposed to be one of the worst teams in football, yet they held Joe Burrow to 113 yards of offense. I mean, the Browns did a lot of good stuff in this game. So let's just go to the offense, the things I was happy about on offense. Joe Flacco looked like a very serviceable quarterback, threw 31 for 45, 290 yards, a touchdown. He did have the 2 picks, but just to touch on the 2 interceptions, the one was off Cedric Tillman. It was a tip ball, and the other one from Harold Fannin. It was also a tip ball. If that's your favorite quarterback, that's not his fault, right? So I'm not going to sit here and blame it on Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco did certainly enough for the Browns to win the game. He looked good procedure-wise on offense. Everything looked really, really good for the Browns. So Joe Flacco, I'm really happy with Flacco's performance. I can't pin anything on him. The run game, I will be critical of the Browns' run game, but it wasn't great. They had Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford. You saw Rocket Sanders get some run there, but just Dylan Sampson appeared to be the bell cow in this one. He only carried the ball 12 times for 29 yards, but there is, in my opinion, it didn't even appear that the Browns were putting a huge emphasis. I mean, they threw the ball 45 times with Flacco. The game plan wasn't to run the ball down since he's thrown. I mean, they threw the ball a lot, and part of that's probably because they couldn't get a good run game going, I guess. But Dylan Sampson was very promising out of the backfield, though, with 8 receptions for 64 yards. I mean, I think we got something there. And what, a 5th-round pick? That is very, very promising. And I'm really looking forward to next week if we hopefully get Judkins back over the next week and we get him in Baltimore, to see what this backfield looks like with Judkins kind of running the show and then Dylan Sampson as maybe your 3rd down back, maybe your dump-off screen guy. I think it's very, very promising what you have there. Jerome Ford, I'm not, terribly impressed with. If you guys have seen my videos in the past, I'm kind of over the Jerome Ford experience, but that was the Browns' run game. I wasn't overly impressed with it, but we'll see what they look like in the coming weeks if this offensive line can kind of form and get back into what we're accustomed to seeing with the Browns. As far as receiving, I guess I wasn't overly over the moon about Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. I think Cedric Tillman had a pretty good game. He had a touchdown. And Jerry Jeudy, I know he caught that one ball at the very end, like it was like from the end zone or something. He ended up with 66 yards. I wasn't super impressed with Jerry Jeudy, but one guy I was very, very impressed with, and if you guys go watch my draft coverage videos, I went on and on about Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin had a great game, 7 receptions, 63 yards. He had that one tipped ball that turned into an interception. It just can't happen, but if you go back and watch the tipped balls, I mean, what are you going to do? It looked like a lot of bad luck that was happening, so Harold Fannin and Dylan Sampson on this offense look like steals of the draft. I think they got Harold Fannin in the 3rd round. I was saying in my draft coverage, because it looked like he could go even into the 2nd round, I was saying the Browns need to go get him. And I didn't make a draft day video on it, but Harold Fannin, I was freaking out when they got Harold Fannin. Shout out BGSU. Yeah, that was as far as the Browns receiving game, offensive production. Offensive line, I was pretty impressed with. DeWand at left tackle. I'm curious what the all-22 looks like when, we could really dissect play to play what was going on, but it appeared the offensive line held up. Joe Flacco was only sacked 1 time. So this offense, very serviceable. Did not look like a 3-win offense like it did last year with Jameis and that mess of an offense they had out there all year. This appears to be a very, at least, serviceable offense. So I was happy to take that away from this one. Let's go ahead and jump into defense. Defense is where I am probably most optimistic about the Browns. They had a great game defensively. The first possession of the game, Joe Burrow kind of marched down the field. Chase Brown looked pretty good in that one. They drove down the field. They scored a touchdown. Bengals offense actually looked really good in the first half, I thought. The defense I wasn't super impressed with early on. You didn't hear anything of Myles Garrett. You didn't hear anything of Carson Schlesinger, Mason Graham. You didn't really hear anything. Isaiah McGuire didn't get his hands on it. Denzel Ward didn't really show up crazy in the first half, but the second half is when it was really apparent what this Browns defense could be. They went into the half, it was 14-10, and then the Browns pretty much shut down everything the Bengals were trying to do on offense. Let me get Joe Burrow's final stats. 14 for 23, 113 yards and a touchdown. He had a 51 QBR. I mean, an objectively bad game out of Joe Burrow. Chase Brown, 21 carries for 43 yards. That's 2 yards a carry. That's terrible. I mean, the Browns' defensive line shut him down. There was a sequence at the very end of the game where the Browns go get 3 sacks in a row. I mean, it was just awesome. It was there's so much to be optimistic about with this Browns team this year. There's so much hope to me, it feels like, with this Browns team. So I just encourage fans just to have a little bit different mindset when it comes to the Browns this year. No, the Browns didn't win the game, but you can't point to one thing, one side of the ball that was the obvious reason that the Browns lost. You can say, okay, well, the Browns need to go score touchdowns, and they need to finish off these drives. They need to not rely on their kicker, whatever, but these are 36, 37-yard field goals. I mean, one of my buddies, John, hit a 30-yard field goal when we're playing at a local high school field. Shout out, John. But, get real. The Browns did so much to win this game. They put so much on tape to be happy about. So I just encourage Browns fans, just maybe taper expectation a little bit and really understand what we're doing here. This is the youth movement here, and there is so much to be happy about. Carson Schlesinger finishes with 8 total tackles. Devin Bush, 7 total tackles. Isaiah McGuire had a good day. He had a sack. We know what we get with Myles Garrett. 2.5 sacks for Myles Garrett. And Denzel Ward really shut down his side of the field, and I was happy with what Greg Newsome did against Jamar Chase. So, I was really, really impressed with what the Browns did in this one. The Browns did a lot to win the game. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way, but I just encourage fans, we need to carry a different attitude, a different mindset into these games. I feel like as Browns fans, we almost look for something to go wrong so we can say it's the same old Browns, and I'm just not doing that as a Browns fan anymore. I'm sorry I'm kind of talking all over the place, but these are just some things that were sitting on my brain after the game. I mean, I left the game so happy and excited. Obviously, I'm not happy that we lose, but there's so much to take from the game to be happy about. So those are my thoughts on this one. As far as going forward, outlook on the Browns, they get the they get the Ravens next week in Baltimore. It doesn't get easier. You got to pick it up. You got to clean it up, and you got to move on to what is probably going to be a lot tougher game against Baltimore in Baltimore. So we'll really get to see I'm excited to see what the defense looks like against a guy like Lamar Jackson. With Schlesinger, I think can really be a playmaker on defense, and we know what we get in Myles Garrett, but secondary held up. I'm I'm really, really happy with what I saw. We'll see what they do with Andre Schmidt, their kicker. It wouldn't shock me if they cut him and just brought somebody else in, but I don't know that I would be totally mad if they kept him and see what they got in him next week. I mean, it can't get much worse than it was, right? And if they go and they lose another game in Baltimore, I don't think any of us Browns fans expect us to win the game. We're probably not going to be favored in many games we play this year. So that's just the outlook going into next week. We'll see what we get out of the Browns offense. I'm hoping the Browns can generate a little more push offensively with the offensive line. There is reports that Quinshon could play in that game, so we'll see what this backfield looks like with hopefully Quinshon and Dylan Sampson as your running back 1, running back 2, and maybe phasing out Jerome Ford to a third down back and a backup role, because I really want to see what we have in the young guys. I'm really excited for what this Browns team can look like going forward. So those are my thoughts on this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Go Brownies, baby.